Where I tend to balance that out with parenting and in my personal life, even friendships, right, is using input and learner. So reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of podcasts, putting more in my sort of arsenal so that when I am focused on a specific mission or objective or goal, or I think something really matters and it's really meaningful, I have different sort of things to lean into to help me tackle that outside of the relationship themes that I've got. That's where my strategic thinking comes in. And it's really about information gathering and learning to level myself up and sort of balance that out.
Hello, and welcome back to Coach to Coach. Today, we are talking about significance. And I feel like I should go because this is such an amazing strength that hands down in 20 years of working with Clifton Strengths, this is easily the most misunderstood, the one that requires deeper explanation, and one that my two guests here, my experts in the room, both share in their top strengths. And we are going to help you understand this amazing strength called significance. And so, Kelly, I'll start with you. If you don't mind telling us where you are calling in from today, a little bit about what you do, and then tell us about your top strengths.
Wonderful. So Kelly Flynn, I live in Mesa, Arizona. So it is 73 and sunny in December here. We like to talk about the weather when it's good.
We're all jealous.
I know, but it's so bad in the
jealous.
summer. I am an HR business partner for a tech company in Boston. I've been an HR business partner for about 15 years. HR career for 15 years and a business partner for almost 10. And I also have a coaching business on the side. And my top strengths are achiever, individualization, input, command, responsibility, and significance is the one I'm going to stop at because that's what we're here to talk about today. So I'm just going to give you my top 6.
Thank you so much. So just so we got it, achiever, individualization, input, command, and responsibility with
That's
your
right.
significance at 6. Very cool. Thank you. Lela.
Hi, my name's Lela Meinke. I'm in Roseville, California, which is near Sacramento. And my top strengths are, and I'm going to go to 12 because I own them: learner, input, significance, connectedness, futuristic, responsibility, focus, woo, analytical. I forgot one, and intellection. Oh, positivity. I forget. So, and I'm at an interesting phase. I'm merging towards retirement, inching closely. And so I'm a bit of with learner number 1, I'm a bit of a Renaissance person. And so currently, I'll focus on that right now. Currently, I'm doing a lot of community service work. I'm doing one-on-one coaching, and I have a class that I invented called Intentions, and it kind of takes all the different things I've learned about people, process, procedure into one kind of art class, intentions, spiritual class. So that's what I'm doing right now.
Thank you. As we jump into significance, I'm going to put out different questions, and either of you can answer in any order you want. You're welcome to take the questions, reflect them back to each other or to me. Because as we talk about this, I mentioned at the front end of the show, significance sits at 11 for me, very much plays into my day-to-day reality. I think at times it sits at 2 or 3 just in function because of the work that I do. And we're going to take some time today to really explore it, open it up, give it breathing room to express itself. So either one of you could take this first question. How would you describe significance to someone brand new to strengths, and they're just all this word and they're trying to figure out what it is? So either of you could jump in and take that.
I'll go. I was thinking about this ahead, and to me, significance focuses on 3 things. It focuses on legacy and purpose. It can be a prioritization or sorting tool. And for me, it helps with connection. And so legacy and purpose, it's very
Let me
much.
pause 1 second. Yeah.
I asked my husband to keep everything silent.
We'll just give it 1 second, and that way you can answer, and then it'll pass that because they'd pick up all of that. All right. So you just take it from wherever you feel good, and the editors will splice it for us. So I had If you just want to go back to number one, that would be fine.
I'll do it. So to me, significance, this isn't the dictionary definition, but to me, it boils down to three things. It boils down to legacy and purpose. I think of Simon Sinek's why, right? So why are we doing something, and why are we doing it for the long haul? It's a sorting tool. Brandon, I learned that from you, actually. It's my prioritization and sorting tool. It combines with my thinking themes or my action themes to help me realize what's the most important thing to be doing right now and why. And then it's in the influence domain. And it really, to me, I think inspires others to connect about a greater purpose, connect to their most amazing self, connect with each other, connect to their larger purpose.
Very cool. Thank you. Kelly?
I definitely think about this visual, and I couldn't tell you exactly where I learned this, if it was during certified coach strength training or a podcast, but the visual was doing work that is worthy of being on stage. So the distinction is not that I necessarily enjoy being on stage, but that you want to do this legacy building, meaningful, worthy work that would be something that people would almost applaud, right? That would stand the test of time. And that, to me, when I think about significance, it's really this quiet, subtle driving force in how I choose. I lead with executing themes. So in how I choose to spend my time, what I choose to focus on, what I go all in on, it's really about that. Is it worthy of being on stage metaphorically?
I love that. So now I'm going to ask you both, as experts, if you were coaching someone who had this show up in their top strengths and they're struggling with it, they're struggling to connect to it, they're wanting to find a way to see it in themselves. So let's say perhaps they're having some denial around, I don't know if that's me. How do you coach them to help them see that? And I'm asking it this way because many of us who coach people who have high significance, and there are many coaches listening in today, they are also curious around, all right, well, how do we help someone really name it, claim, aim this one? How do they own and really engage with it? Because I think we can all agree today, and listeners, I hope you're with me on this, the world needs more of us with this strength. Like, this strength has people moving, project moving, world moving capabilities. And when used for good, it's amazing. It's incredible. And so, Lela, I'll come over to you first. So someone's struggling. How do you help them connect to it?
I think significance is a huge gift and it's a huge responsibility. And so it's not to be taken lightly. It's not something to just maybe avoid and focus on others. I think it's something for us to accept, own, learn about, and it can take time, right? So, and we can try things and maybe that didn't go so well, but have the courage and, help others learn through that. I would say, absolutely, don't be afraid to learn how to lean into it in your most amazing, unique way. Coaching helps immensely. And I love the notion of things being stage worthy. And I'm going to add a PS to that. Doing the dishes is stage worthy, right? What do I mean by that? I had goosebumps just saying that, and I'm not kidding it. I do a vision board every year. Every year I put the dishes on the vision board because I don't like doing them. But I love my husband and I want to show up in a significant way as a responsible person for my partner. And so stage worthy, yes, I can tie dishes to stage worthy because I'm being responsible in my marriage. So those are just a few things.
I love it, Lela. I will build on it. It took me years to fully connect to significance professionally and personally. And so I'll start with the maturing that I had personally, in seeing that part of my legacy is my role as a wife and as a mother, and my 3 children are my greatest legacy. And that could make me cry, but I will hold it together. But when you think about, to your point, the tiny moments that lead to them becoming incredible human beings, that is back to the note of being stage worthy. I actually don't want to be on stage. When I get called up on stage for work, I'm blushing, I'm embarrassed, but it's about the work being meaningful enough that it would be worth it. And that is the work of motherhood, right? Of being a spouse. And so to bring it to a professional realm, if I was coaching somebody with significance, I lead with individualization, I lead with input. So I'm going to bring in my own, personal experience and sort of what makes me unique. And then I'm going to do some information gathering with them. So I might ask them, can you tell me about something in your life that has a magnetic force of excitement that you feel like it's so meaningful, it's so incredible, your interest in it or your commitment to it is going to stand the test of time. And I will sort of pull out what is significant in their life right now. If I don't get there with that question, then I tend to back into an understanding of significance by asking about the flip side, which it's interesting to the point of doing the dishes. There are ticky-tacky is how I talk about it. There are ticky-tacky things in life, right? Personally and professionally. So the little things that you don't really want to do that might feel more administrative in nature, but you get it done anyway, right? Somebody with significance is going to struggle if the majority of their life is ticky-tacky things, right? So I will say, how much of your life, work or, professionally or personally, is full of this ticky-tacky concept? And then where's the big rocks, right? The meaningful, like monumental stuff. And normally after I remind them, oh, these things that you do because they need to get done, that doesn't feed your significance talent. That's just part of being human. And you're hopefully going to use other executing themes to get that done. Let's talk about, again, what really lights you up, that has influence on the world around you, that has influence on others. And that's when I get a connection with somebody and they say, oh, I see it. I get it. And I had that myself as well.
For the benefit of our readers, I want to share with you an excerpt from Now Discover Your Strengths. And so for all of our listeners out there, for probably the first 15 plus years of the strengths movement, this is how it was defined. And then at one point, Gallup actually went in and did some editing to this one. And so it says, you want to be very significant in the eyes of others. In the truest sense of the word, you want to be recognized. You want to be heard. You want to stand out. You want to be known. In particular, you want to be known and appreciated for the unique strengths you bring. And so my first experience with strengths happened all the way back in the early 2000s. And I have vivid memory of people having this strength show up in their top 5 who were embarrassed by it, who thought, I do not want anyone to know I have this, up to the point one senior leader I worked with in an organization retook his strengths and reordered them so that he wouldn't have to acknowledge this as one of his top strengths because he saw it as, he felt exposed by it. So later, Gallup added different dimension. They brought out more meaning to this, which they should have done. But early, that was some of what came with this. And so I have been, and Lela knows this about me, I am a huge proponent of this strength. I look at this and I see the ability it has to look through whatever it is a part of and find excellence, extreme excellence, the best of the best of the best, because if it's worth doing big. It's worth doing in a way that has impact, in a way that resonates, and where Lela shared the legacy and purpose, it's going to have that. And people with high significance, maybe you too can relate, very low tolerance for shoddy work, very low tolerance for people assigning things to them that are shoddy, like very, very low tolerance in how that's going to be a part. So as we're building today, and the two of you look at your own strengths and you look at how this is characterized. Now I'm curious, how do you bring it into a space? You're going to say, yep, I am this, this, and this with significance, and how you describe it to people as you bring it into a room. Want to go first, Kelly?
Yeah, I don't know that I talk about it. I certainly have discussed it, with my spouse, with a trusted manager, and with a team if we're talking about Clifton strengths, but I don't know that I market it as much as I could because, to your point, it is part of my special sauce. Again, at work and at home, as a friend, as a neighbor, you name it. I am drawn to things that are transformative, that are impressive. For sure, my responsibility talent layers in there, and I care a lot about ownership and quality of work and how something is perceived. So there's definitely something there. I think the moment in my career when I really most connected with significance was when I was on site for a big acquisition at work, and I could really see and feel how monumental the moment was, how impressive the moment was, the impact that it was going to have on those 200 employees and their livelihood, their benefits package. Everything was really transforming for them with this acquisition in a beneficial way. The world's largest winery was acquiring them, right? And so they were going to have more research and development dollars, you name it. Really a beautiful moment in my career. It was a family-owned company, and so I knew that we were going to take really good care of those employees. But I remember reflecting that night and realizing, oh, this fed and infused my significance talent in a really wonderful way. But you're making me realize that I could talk more about that upfront in a transparent way with people that I work with and with my family more often, so they understand this side of me that is really, truly unique.
Very cool. Thank you. Lela.
You know how we start our coaching business on a high, only to get absolutely overwhelmed by the business side of things? We're suddenly supposed to be a full-time salesperson, marketing funnel maker, email marketing expert, social media manager, customer service rep, and tech expert all in one. Yeah, overwhelmed. Well, Lisa Cummings, our strengths coach friend, created a membership that gives you an insane member vault that will blow your mind. All the tools, systems, and templates to save you time and money. It's the actual assets Lisa used at Lead Through Strengths to build a successful strengths coaching business. All the assets are yours to customize and make your very own. She even gives you 2 years worth of emails you can use to serve your customers. So check it out at podcast.34strong.com, Lead Through Strengths. Again, podcast.34strong.com, Lead Through Strengths, from Lisa Cummings.
What's coming up for me, humility's a really high value for me. And it's the minute you say that, you're not humble. I get that, but I strive for it. And so I try to not talk about significance. And again, retired-ish and in like coaching is I seek to understand. So I haven't coached a lot of significant people with high significance that haven't had that opportunity. But so I don't talk about it. On my best days, I try to do it. And so recently, again, retired-ish. So I get to do something. I love what I do. I share what I love. I get to do my hobby a lot, and it's handmade cards. And so I was trying to earn the sales trip for years, and I coached someone, hired later in her world, to earn the sales trip. And I'm like, I want this thing. So I was focused on the sales and the achievement. The minute I put that aside and said, forget it, we're making cards for seniors. And now we make 2,000 cards a year for seniors. And I collect them. And I was like this close to earning the trip. And I was talking to my leader, and she's like, well, you could do this. You could do this. She goes, you could do a fundraiser. I'm like, yes, I'm going to do that. And it became about a fundraiser, and it pushed me over the edge. And it was a fundraiser for breast cancer awareness. It was October. It was selling a stamp set related to breast cancer awareness. But people associated me so much with my seniors because I'm so out there about collecting cards for seniors. So they're like, I don't need cards. I care about the breast cancer, but I'm going to just give you money so you can buy supplies to make cards for seniors. And so when I focus on the love and service, the significance comes. Now, 2,000 seniors got a handmade card throughout the year, just knowing that they're loved just a little bit more.
I love that. Recently, my nephew, who is turning 21, took Clifton Strengths for the first time, and significance is number one. And I've known him since birth and love his growth, love watching him learn. And I'm so impressed just watching his deep, deep, deep commitment to the best. And whatever he does, he really tries to excel. And he happens to work with my son. They are on a project together. And I see how he's making him better and others better. And naturally, he's risen to a leadership role. He's now in a spot. And so I have found with this strength that it seems to either call for or be called to leadership. And I'm curious if either of you have seen that in your experience, either personally or with others, and then how this one can show up well in that role. When we think of a really strong ability for significance to lead well in its role, what are some things that come to mind for you? And Lela, I'll come back to you for that first.
I mean, Barapa, the founder of Clifton Strengths, right? So, I mean, I think it was his number 3. And oh my gosh, Clifton Strengths has changed my lives. It's changed the lives. I don't even know the numbers now of how many have taken it. It has changed lives. So for sure. And the story, I know the story because I've taken a lot of classes, and he was a leader in the military, and he retired, or he shifted out of that role. And then he went to the library, and he's like, where are the books on positive leadership? Where are the books on developing people's strengths? And it didn't exist. And so he went about making that happen. So, I mean, that's hands down my favorite leadership story. In my own world, much smaller scale, I'm actually a thinker, and I'm actually incredibly introverted. I've got this very, very, very quiet side to me, which was dominant for most of my life. And then I was participating in a nonprofit world that I just talk about in a general way. I don't keep that separate. But I kept, like you said, Brandon, I just kept getting these next roles and these next roles and these next roles. And I discovered, like, when it became about the purpose of the organization, and it became about the purpose of every single person in the organization participating and being a part of it, which is one of our core concepts. The right of participation is kind of built into the organization's guiding principles. When I could bring it to the right of participation, and when I could bring it to the purpose, all that shy, introverted went away. I'll say it, I love speaking in front of a room now. I either love speaking in front of a room, or I love being in the back doing the work and just like being a learner. So anyway, that.
All right. When I think about significance and leadership, I will acknowledge, I'm sure, my command talent at number 4 kind of adds on to my own personal experience with stepping into leadership roles. So I've definitely, as an HR leader, as an HR business partner in the talent space, I've led teams before and can connect to feelings of gratitude and accomplishment for their contributions. So you can see sort of what is significant about the results that your team delivers. And I found that wildly motivating for many years. What's interesting is, again, as the years passed, now looking back at moments in my career when I was really focused on becoming a director or a vice president and having someday a corner office with a view, I think ego got in the way and utilized significance in a way that was actually not useful to me. Now here I sit, we'll call it late 30s, not quite 40. So imagine that much of a career. I don't think I think about leadership in the same way. And instead, the work that I do as an HR business partner and as a coach, I'm helping other people to prepare to be on stage, to deliver an incredible message. And to your point, Lela, sometimes I'm waiting in the wings, right? Quietly in my own head thinking, oh, I love how they landed that point, or they really delivered that vision or that mission in such an incredible way. And I know that I had a little influence on that, but I no longer need a title or an office or any of that. So that just, I guess it gives you a little bit of an understanding of how leadership looked at certain points in my career, and now how it looks as I coach leaders and what it means to me.
That's great. I think about significance always in the context of mission. What is it that we're accomplishing? And as long as my significance feels connected to something that I can keep score with. I have high competition too. So I want to know that I'm finding my way to the win, and I'm an us winner more than a me winner. So I look for ways that we can get, a team sport guy. So how do we get us over to the win column? And what is that metric? And so significance is constantly evaluating what it is we do, what we put out into the world. How does the message land? And are we being recognized? Are we being acknowledged for what we do? So fun story, as a company, very early on, I was made aware of what the Inc. 5000 is. And I can remember early in my business thinking, one day, 34 Strong will be acknowledged on this list. And unbeknownst to me, a year ago, one of my team members put us forward for that. Because I had lost sight of it, I figured, well, if we're doing our job and we're transforming workplaces on what we call our mission to 1 million smiles, and we're changing the way people think about work and how they go home and the way that they get to live life based upon these amazing connections inside of the workplace, then it would be worth it. And lo and behold, I get this email saying, congratulations, you made the Inc. 5000. Now we were like 4,992, I think. We were like just in, but I was like, but we did it. We made it. And so that fuels significance. Because we did it, guys. We brought this around. We created this. And so I want to move into now some of the dynamics of your other strengths with significance. So what I love in both of your top strengths is you have a lot of variance here that we can point to. And so really looking at each other's, and I'm going to start with Kelly, asking you about command with significance, because these are two very rare strengths. You have them in your top set, and clearly, as you spoke about them, these are ones that have had their impact. So curious how you talk about that. And then Lela, I'm certain that I'm going to want to know about significance and connectedness. I'm certain of just how those two get to play. So Kelly, if you could start us with command significance.
Okay, so I have to watch my command lest I come in like a wrecking ball at times. And I'm laughing when I say this, but it's a reality. But the blend of command and significance, responsibility and focus and achiever, I can have a lot of firepower if something really matters. And so I can think of moments in my career where it's really helped me. And I have said, oh, we won't do that. That won't work. And I am bold, right? And really clear about what needs to happen. And it has served the broader organization or the mission or the purpose well, that I was willing to take a stand. And I can think of times when I needed to actually lean out of some of those influencing themes and into individualization. I've got relator at 9, and then harmony at 12, and lean into those relationship building themes to sort of balance, again, some of this beautiful, bold firepower of command and significance that when they combine, I have to make sure that they don't combust. And I think that this is true, at work. And again, in my personal life as a mom, when I think about my approach to parenting, I'm thinking through with that portion of my life.
I was going to go there because I'm thinking to myself as you're talking, your kids must really know when you've reached that, that's it. Whatever your eyes are doing in that moment, I'm sure the kids have learned, freeze. Well, it has strength, right?
Yes.
There's a force behind it with those two.
My husband has said our kids really respect you. And sometimes I think he wants a little more of that. And it's because with command and significance, sometimes, again, I'm very clear, very bold in what I'm saying. Where I tend to balance that out with parenting and in my personal life, even friendships, right, is using input and learner. So reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of podcasts, putting more in my sort of arsenal so that when I am focused on a specific mission or objective or goal, or I think something really matters and it's really meaningful, I have different sort of things to lean into to help me tackle that outside of the relationship themes that I've got. That's where my strategic thinking comes in. And it's really about information gathering and learning to level myself up and sort of balance that out.
Very cool. Let's hear connectedness with significance.
Do you ever feel lonely as a coach or solopreneur? What if you had a place where you could surround yourself with like-minded coaches who truly get you, where learning, sharing, and growing together is the norm. Connect, Learn, and Share, started by Charlotte Blair, is a vibrant community of Clifton Strengths coaches from around the world. Hosted on the Circle platform, it's a place where you'll find people, processes, and events to help you grow your business, enhance your coaching and facilitation skills, and thrive in a safe, supportive, and collaborative environment. Connect with coaches from diverse backgrounds and experiences. Learn through a calendar of recorded events across time zones, and share your knowledge in a community built on an abundance mindset rooted in strengths. Visit podcast.34strong.com to learn more. Again, podcast.34strong.com to learn more about the Connect, Learn, and Share community.
Righty. Happy to do it. So in some ways, it acts as individualization for me. So in some ways, I can see and I cherish seeing the ways people show up individually in significant ways, and then pair that with futuristic. And if I hear something once where they're like, oh, I really want to, like, I hold that for them. As a coach, I hold that for them. I have a class that I built called Intentions, and we do vision boards and labyrinth journaling and Lean Six Sigma stuff, and all like connectedness, like brings all these things in. But what we do is we pick a word for the year. And so we focus on that, and I only take commitments for a year, and I've seen lives change with that. So what else? Spirituality, I think, becomes a big part. So purpose, like we're like of the bigger why. And then I actually have, I wish I would have answered this under the question where you were asking about leadership. I got a little bit distracted, but an example in my life that is like the penultimate example of significance, connectedness. It's one of my favorite life experiences I got to do. My best friend, Betsy, passed away a few years ago. She had brain cancer, and towards, I don't know, she had like a few months to go, but we didn't exactly know the timing. Again, I said, let's do a fundraiser for Betsy. And we were going to make handmade cards. And I was like, my target was small, but her husband had includer, and like everybody came, like, and she had command. And so it was like the week before she died, a couple hundred people came. They stood in line, her with her command. She was sitting in the wheelchair, and like people were scared to like go up to her and talk to her, but her with her command, she's like, come here, sit on my lap. So, so that day, I mean, I had people working on, this one had a ideation. So she was the ideation station, and just letting everybody like, just let their themes blossom. And then Betsy at the end of the day told me, like, she basically got her funeral before the funeral, and she got to say, like, I feel so loved. And then she passed a week later. But I think, I don't know how I got there. Significance connect. I loved.
Because you just literally gave us the example of significance and connectedness as you talked that through. And that was beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. I love Betsy. Yeah. So that's it. I'm done.
Amazing. I'm going to come now to one that you both share, which is responsibility with your significance. And I'm really curious how you both might relate to that, because the strength of responsibility with its need for follow through, right? Its need for us taking ownership of what we say we're going to do. So the internal combustion that happens with that, the drive that it gives you to be that person that if I say I will, I will. And so when it comes to impact you want to make and things that you want to accomplish, can responsibility ever, because it weighs heavy. It's a heavy, heavy duty strength. It's, in my opinion, one of the most sought after in the world as far as leaders and team members, because you can just trust these people so much that they're going to follow through. Whatever they say they're going to do, they can't not do it. So curious how you both might connect that particular strength with significance.
I am very intentional about my capacity as I've learned more about responsibility and how it shows up in my life. And to your point, the heavy weight and almost burden that it can become if you're not watching the blind spots. So I'm extremely thoughtful about what I sign up for and what I can do well so that I can maintain, again, the most important legacy in my life is my role as a wife and a mother.
So that's back to Leila's sorting,
Yes.
the sorting. Yeah.
But I have to hold myself accountable because, to your point, my brand as an internal partner is so strong that people know they can depend on me to, if I say I'm going to do something, I will deliver it high quality, early, etc. And so I've had to, over the years, really teach myself to say, no, not yet, not me, delegate, redirect, so that I'm not, to your point, internally combusting and so stressed and overwhelmed by what I've signed up for that I'm not doing anything well.
So for me, most of like 6 of my top 11 are in the thinking. And so I am so grateful for number 6 and 7, responsibility and focus, because I would just think my way through significant things, but thank goodness for responsibility and focus. So, so it helps me decide and sort for sure. It gives me courage, right? So maybe I know I need to do a Facebook Live and I'm not really feeling like doing a Facebook Live, but I need to go out and do a Facebook Live, right? Or whatever the thing is. So it gives me courage. And then the final thing is, again, execution, not always my favorite. So it gives me the motivation, right? And very often I prioritize by and responsibility, even though it's in execution, it's got a people and loyalty and relationship component to it. So I'm going to sort by so who's next in the list for me to get something done for? Those are a couple ways. Yeah.
Very cool. Thank you. So as you both look at each other's strengths and you heard the other talk, did you have any curiosities of one of the strengths that our colleague here shares and how that might work with significance?
I mean, I'm curious more about your input. I know I share it too, but I'm curious more about your input. And then I heard you have learner. That's learner input, right? So I'm just curious how those show up for you.
I'm a continual learner. I am constantly, listening to a new podcast, finding a new book, sharing it with, it's interesting because it took me time to recognize that this is part of what I do, but I'm sharing that information with others. And that is part of my legacy quietly, is that I have this, again, subtle impact on the lives of family and friends and coworkers when I say, hey, give this some thought. What do you think about that? Oh, I have something that might help, that they tuck away and use, months or years later. So it really is, it's so present in my life. And, input at number 3, even though learner is the number 10, I think the combination, they just have me constantly striving for more knowledge, or I'm just so curious that I think that really, it does impact my other influencing themes, again, significance and command. I'm fascinated by the number of strategic thinking themes that you have and would love to just, go a little deeper, get a little more depth on what it looks like, to your point, to have this incredible ability to think so fully and strategically about the impact that you can have on the world, right? Again, connecting it to significance, but I'd love to just hear more from you on that.
Sure. So an intellection, right, is number 11. So that's to me like the ultimate thinking thing, because that's its whole job, is to think. So that's its whole purpose. And so I've got to be really, really careful what I think. And I learned that early on. Neither here nor there, but I can have, childhood stuff, self-talk, whatever. So I've got to be really, really careful what I put in. So I am incredibly intentional about what even comes into the funnel so that I pay attention to what I think about. And so I guess that's the short answer. Specifics of it are, I've been listening to it, and it's podcasts lately. And so just anything positive, right? So my positivity comes in there too. So I just fill myself with very intentionally with positive and healthy things. And then for me, it's about putting it to action too. So it's how does it come to life? And then with learner, number 1, how can I take others along with me? Learner for me is actually an influence theme. Like, how can I take others with me? How can we, I remember when the pandemic started and my husband, we were vulnerable, so we were quarantined. We stayed home. We were very committed. I started a Facebook Live immediately. I'm like, we're going to do 30 days of Facebook Lives. We're going to make cards, make a card for your grocer, make a card for your. So my thinking themes were like, how do I do a Facebook Live? What equipment do I need? How do I, right? And so Learner got on the case, and thank goodness for prioritization, right? And there's so much information out there. And to this day, we still get together. And then I was also committed. My demographic is, people in our 60s and 70s who make cards. And so I was committed to bring them along into social media. And how do you how do you open Zoom? How do you do? Because we're quarantined, we got to do this stuff. And so, yeah, all about action and all about meaningful purpose.
So for both of you, anything that we left out today that you think our listeners need to hear about significance, knowing that we've given a lot of rich insights, but would love to hear from both of you on any other nuggets, any other pearls you want to uncover for us as we get to the end of our time together.
I think if you meet someone with significance in their top 10, give them a gentle pat on the back and remind them that it's a good thing, that the world needs it, to your point. And there's certainly a line in my report that reminded me that I actually really do need affirmation and appreciation and to feel valued. And I didn't always understand that, but now I regularly ask for feedback, share positive feedback that I've gotten with others so they can sort of celebrate alongside me. To your point earlier, Lela, on humility, it's one of my core values as a human. It's deeply connected to my faith. And so finding a balance of humility, but also celebrating what's working well and getting that affirmation and recognition, I think is a really important component of significance, that a person who leads with significance might not even understand this part of themselves unless you help them to really claim it and grasp it. So
I think, I think with my significance, it gets down to motivation and trust. What's my motive? And so, I love, in all the Clifton training, they're like, oh, when did you first see it as a little kid? So my first name is Janet, and I used to sign my school papers Janet the Great. That would be significance unaimed. So it's been a little bit of time to learn to aim it and to learn to trust it within myself. And for me, I guess, today, my prayer and my motivation was, let significance be in the spotlight, not Lela in the spotlight. And I can tell you, it can not today, but other instances, if I feel like I'm part of a mission and I'm not totally connecting with it, or if I feel like I don't have a clear role within it, Janet the Great can come out. So I regularly pray and do affirmations and try to pause and try to get connected mindfully to what is the real thing of significance here. And so that's my invitation for others that have it too. Yeah.
I love this. Thank you both so much. And listeners, tremendous value today from our experts, and so much depth here on significance and the power of this strength, the gift and responsibility that it is, and what it brings to the one who beholds it, but also those of us who have the privilege to engage with people around us who have this. And so as we wrap up, Kelly, can you tell people where they can find you and with your business, what you're up to and who you're looking to work with?
You got it. It's a quiet little coaching business. It's called Strengthen Coaching. So strengthencoaching.com. It's really, my business is focused on, curated relationships. It's truly referral based at its genesis, but technically open for business beyond that. It's really about finding the strength within you. So what already exists. And Clifton Strengths Coaching, I started with it being a quiet little business because I don't do a lot of marketing, and yet I continue to invest in it because my son is the one who created the logo for my business, and every time I look at it, it brings a huge smile to my face because, again, that's part of my legacy. And so when you go to the website and you see that logo, just know my 13-year-old created it for me, and that's the background of Strength in Coaching.
Awesome. Thank you. Lela?
You can find me at lelameinke.com. And you're going to see that it's a card site and community service site because that's what I do. I do coaching one-on-one. I am not announcing that so much anymore, but I do one-on-one coaching. And I focus, my background is Lean Six Sigma, Clifton Strengths, technical consulting. So I work with a lot of operations, creative operations women looking to find their voice. But I work with anyone one-on-one. So you can just find my email there. And then I do have this Word of the Year course. I only have a few pods at a time. But if that's something that is just like calling to you, I kind of have an onboarding process where we can talk about it and see if you're a fit. So that's lelameinke.com.
Thank you both. Listeners, we are so glad you joined us today. Thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you next time on Coach to Coach. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Lela.
That's a wrap on this episode of Coach to Coach. If you've enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're a strengths coach looking to dive deeper, join the Coach Strong community. It's where coaches like you come together to share insights, support one another, and discover partnership opportunities. Be part of the conversations that are elevating our industry. Email community@34strong.com to join today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Coach to Coach. Stay strong.